So tonight,
Yes.
you will be on Criminal Minds.
The Criminal Minds. I got the guest star role.
Tell us about
Very
it.
excited. There's this awesome writer named Virgil Williams that writes for the show Criminal Minds. He used to be on 24, ER, lots of great shows, but he's from Chicago. Ran into him, reached out to say that he really liked what I did on Chicagoland, helping Fenger High School, and he wanted to actually contribute as well. And he also mentioned that he was writing for this show, had this great part that he thought I should audition for because he knew I was acting a lot lately. And I went out and I tried to audition. I sent in the tape. I was really excited. What happened? Rejected. They rejected me right off the bat.
Thanks, but no thanks.
They said, you did not pass and we have to move on, although we will let you know what you did wrong, where you were short, in case you wanted to resend a tape in. They did. I worked with my coach, Doug McDade, here at Actors Studio in Chicago. We worked really hard, and I sent it back in, and then they were like, you got it.
That's awesome.
That was kind of what we were looking for.
So now we have to rewind because I didn't know this story about the tape. So you literally went out and, I mean, what's on your tape when you sent it to the studio?
So they sent me the script and a scene, and this scene that I had for this particular character, Detective Rosato, had more lines than I'm usually used to. I've done a lot of TV and movies that have come through town, and it would always be like a scene or two. This one was full-blown dialogue, and it had a lot of scenes throughout the entire script. So I was really excited, and I basically went on tape and I read the lines, but I was, I guess, overdoing it because I'm trying to catch killers,
right?
You know, and so if I put myself in that place, I'm super serious and intense about it, and they just told me to tone it down because apparently as a detective who does this every day, you're not that freaked out.
Relax.
They're like, throw it away a little bit. I was like, what does that mean? They said, throw it away a bit. You just do this every day. Yeah, granted, this guy's killing people and it's scary and disturbing, but you need to attack it like it's your job. So pretend you're at work. So I pretended I was at Rocket and Sundo working the floor, trying to catch killers. No.
Right.
And I worked with my coach, Doug McDade, and we sent it in, and they called me kind of astonished. And they're like, we wrote you off, but we looked at this and you were able to take the direction perfectly, and we feel you are the best candidate for the job, and come out to LA. You're going to be here for 10 days. We're going to film for 8. And this is a heavy role. It's like the guest star role.
That's a big
for
deal.
the Halloween special, which is this Wednesday, the 29th.
That's a big deal.
It is.
So I think a lot of people may be surprised that you have this talent coach. I mean, this is a guy who you run very successful businesses here in Chicago. You're an attorney by trade, and now you're taking these acting classes. What's going on?
Starting right back from the bottom. You know, I started this passion of mine of storytelling, whether it's theater, acting, being a host on a show, interviewing people. But acting is a totally different art than hosting. For instance, hosting and being on stage is so loud, and again, with the acting, you just sort of had to be super still, firm, really act through your eyes and believing it. And it's just a lot of different muscles. So yeah, I needed a coach. I, like anyone else, had to really, really work at it. And I loved working at it. So yeah, there's another coach I work with, Audrey at Black Box, Doug McDade at Acting Studio. But yeah, I started right from the bottom and just worked my way up. And I get rejected at auditions all the time. It's really humbling. It's really hard, but I come back and keep fighting like I always did for everything else I've worked for. Yeah. And it ended up working out.
So were you nervous going into it?
I can't be. I couldn't be. There's too much. They're spending, you know, what I would think would be millions of dollars on these episodes. They've been going for 10 years. They have fans all around the world. These guys are on a tight time schedule. It's an ensemble cast of some really big names that are used to working with professionals. So I really had to work in advance to build up my strength and my stamina, my focus, and my, you know, being prepared. So, and really mentally, spiritually, and psychologically taking fear and kind of removing it, or at least sort of using it to, you know, engage.
Dialed in.
Total focus. You know, sometimes when you do your work as much as people do, you begin to be able to loosen up a little bit and things go on automatic. Trying to do what I was doing here on Criminal Minds, or acting in general, brings me back to taking everything I have and focusing as much as possible to be able to do a good job with people at this level. Again, they have, I mean, amazing amounts of followers. Just the other day, Criminal Minds retweeted one of the pictures I posted. I'm posting pictures from the set over the time that we were filming, and they retweeted me, and all of a sudden I got like followers from every single continent and all sorts of places I could not imagine or understand what they were saying.
But it just shows how big the show is, right?
It's fantastic. Yeah. And there's so many fans here in Chicago, I had no idea. Because I usually don't watch scary shows. They kind of keep me up at night. And when I read the script, it kept me up for a couple nights.
Right.
So be ready. But there are so many fans here in Chicago, we decided to do a viewing party at Rocket tonight. Yeah, for the show. So
anyone can come out?
Anyone can come. I mean, it's just, you know, in the spirit of Halloween, in the spirit of supporting really great Chicagoans, and I don't mean me, that are a part of this show. Virgil Williams, the writer who put this together and sort of let me know that there was actually an audition, although he couldn't help me. I had to fight for it on my own. And Joe Mantegna, who is a longtime Chicago, you know, favorite, and he is one of the, you know, big names on the show. And to be out there, I took pictures with those two. That's a great Chicago story right there, and I think we should all support that.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I have heard that it's really not as glamorous as you might think, right? I mean, what time are you waking up? What time are you going to bed? Kind of walk me through a day's work.
Well, I think the day starts immediately when you wake up, regardless of where you have to be, because it's all in your mind. You have to get super focused as to what you need to do. And that might mean shaving and being, you know, the exact way you looked in the last scene, that they're, you know, you might have filmed something 4 days ago that's going to be cut together.
Right.
But the exact thing, you need to be in that same mindset. You need to feel the same, you need to look the same, and you need to appear the same. But I think you're always there super early. You have a trailer, which I think is really cool. See, some people might complain about these things. I think they're amazing. You put me in a trailer.
Billy had a double wide, didn't he?
No, I had a small trailer, very humble, you know, accommodations, but I was a king. It's like you're going camping, you know, and you have a trailer and it has a little microwave and it has like a little bathroom and a little bed, and you know, you have your wardrobe there. So immediately I put on my wardrobe, which by the way was like this really nice suit that they had custom made they do things right.
Wow.
And I put it on and I become this character, and they give you your sides because sometimes your lines change, which totally throws you off. And you have to learn right there and then. By the way, sometimes they change the lines while 200 people are staring at you, and they'll be like, great take, now let's just flip all that around and make the lines completely different, and then let's switch the characters around and go.
So how many takes were there? I mean, you get tongue-tied, I'm guessing, and you take it again? Or, I mean, how does it work?
You know, I did pretty good on the whole tongue-tied thing because I had to. No, but that's the only thing I did well on because I had weeks to prepare those lines. But what was very hard for me was, for instance, if someone's filming our scene, we're going back and forth, they say, okay, great, we'll keep that one, now let's go over the shoulder. So if they do over the shoulder for my close-up, that means all 200 people in the studio go behind you, and you all just stare at me while I do my lines with supposedly just you in a room. So it's like you and I are alone in a room talking about the most dramatic moment ever in trying to catch this killer, but there's 200 people staring at me. And those were moments where like weird body twitches, I had to like control myself in different ways because there's a lot of fear and adrenaline running through, and those were the parts I struggled with the most.
So you mentioned your wardrobe and all that. I mean, you're basically playing an investigator, right? Kind of a cop
the
figure.
Lead detective.
Okay.
Yeah, that they have to work with in order to catch this killer.
Did they let you wear your hat?
That wasn't part of my character. I actually, in most acting things that I do, I just don't. This has sort of been something that I just enjoy for, you know, working in the hospitality and entertainment industry locally. It's how I started, you know. Back from the days when I was a doorman, I just wore gym shoes, jeans, t-shirts, and a hat, and it was just my thing. And by the way, it wasn't because it was cool, it was because I couldn't afford anything else, and I couldn't afford to go home to shower all the time because I was going to school at the same time.
Throw a hat on.
There's a little bit more probably information that I should be divulging. It was all not out of coolness, it was out of necessity.
Had to do it.
And then it became just fun.
Got it. Talk to me about, because this isn't your first role. I mean, you've acted before. Kind of give me some highlights of things you've done.
You know, when I passed the bar back about, you know, a dozen years ago, my best friend at the time, still my best friend, is David Schwimmer. He was on Friends. He said, get out to LA, I have a gift for you. So I went out to LA and I stayed with him and I went to work with him, and here we are on the set of Friends, and he threw me into the scene on an airplane with Ross and Rachel, and basically I did 4 or 5 scenes with them in one of the bigger episodes when they go to Vegas or something like that. I was hooked, not just about that moment or what happened afterwards, but about all the things that go on in a studio to make sort of this intimate experience happen at home. And then I I was so hooked that I did one episode every year. Started getting on other shows like Entourage. And then I realized that there was a lot of traffic coming through Chicago in TV and movies and independents and other sorts. And I started auditioning for one-liners, and I was getting them. I got rejected from a lot of them, but I would get these one-liners, one-scene parts, and mostly cops for some reason, or really bad guys, nothing in between. It was really weird. So I just focused on that for a while because I really did love the whole idea of getting to know everyone on set, because I wanted these producers and directors and talent to keep coming to Chicago, keep bringing movies here, keep bringing TV shows here. Awesome for the economy. It's also very exciting. It's uplifting. People just love it, and I loved it. And so I would do anything to get these parts and to help them with wrap parties, accommodations, let them know where certain things were in the city, whether they're stores or health clubs or whatever they wanted to know, so that they loved Chicago as much as possible. So yeah, for the last 10 years, I've been doing a lot of different parts, and over the years, they've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where this guest star role kind of happened, and I'm
now you're
really
big time.
excited. No,
now you're big time.
I also have been doing different movies that are a lot of fun, and recently I decided to be a part of groups to help bring movies here to Chicago more. So I think next summer, I hope to be behind something to help me also get, behind, in front of the camera and behind the camera.
Production-wise in the industry.
Just to, bring more stuff to Chicago.
Yeah. Final question I have, and this is, we'll kind of take a turn here. You do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of people realize about what you've done in terms of charity work and things like that. But you got to meet the president at the White House.
Yes.
This is a big deal. Tell us that story.
I actually met the president back in the day a couple times, and I've met him at the White House through different events, but recently I was appointed by him to the White House Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. My mom is from the Philippine Islands. I've been heavily invested and excited to be a part of the community, and always throwing fundraisers. Last time I was here, you guys were kind enough to let me talk about Typhoon Haiyan, fundraisers that we were doing for the Philippines, where my mom's from. And you basically are on this commission where you're sort of his eyes and ears for the Asian American Pacific community.
That's a huge honor. I mean,
it's
a big deal.
It's a big deal, not just for my mom and my family and myself, but the entire community. The only one here on behalf of Chicago, and also the only Filipino on the commission. And there are times where we meet with the community, like I'll be meeting actually in a couple hours with Mayor Rahm Emanuel and the Asian American community at City Hall to talk about different issues that they would like voiced and brought back to the administration, which I'll be doing. And sometimes I get a phone call that says the President of the United States would like to see you in his office tomorrow at 3:30. And I could be doing anything, and I just don't know what to say, but I hear my voice say, yes, sir. And I end up in a suit in the morning, and I look like the guy that gets on a plane to go to work. I have a briefcase, I have a suit, and I'm very focused and reading frantically to figure out as much as possible about the issue of the day that is going to be discussed. And I am briefed by, amazing advisors there, and I have that hour or two, which is an amazing platform to have, to be able to share the voice of the community that I grew up with here in Chicago.
Being in the White House must have been surreal. I mean,
it is always surreal, but it's surreal to an entirely different level when you have to be responsible with the privilege you've been given to speak to someone with the amount of time limitations and amount of responsibility and pressure, no matter what president it is, and then to be responsible to the many, many people whom you are speaking on behalf of. So it's a very serious moment for me, and most people know me as someone who's really kind of excited and jovial, and you don't really see all the parts that I do behind the scenes, but that serious side that comes with being a business owner and being a leader really is accentuated and is focused when it comes to this community service, because it's not about me anymore. It's about many other people. It's about things that make communities work, and it's just so much bigger than that. And so I've been spending a lot of time reading, catching up, understanding things that we kind of brush over, or at least I used to brush over and I didn't really know a ton about. But it's exciting. It kind of brings me back to my law school and Harvard Business School days, where I was just drowning entirely with all sorts of information, but you're
Right.
working other parts of your brain and your heart and your soul, and it's super exciting to be able to have this moment for the next 2 years.